Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack a seriously fascinating philosophical collision. We are looking at a profound, almost dialectic contrast between two wildly different visions of human flourishing. On one hand, you've got the raw ambition of high-tech utopian futures, and on the other, this deep, grounded yearning for our pastoral roots. It's a tension that has defined generations, honestly, and it's playing out right now in real time.
To get us started, picture this striking metaphor. Up above, you have this magnificent floating high-tech city, glowing, advanced, literally elevated above the clouds, completely detached. But down below, grounded in the dirt and the grass, is a traditional farmhouse with a family walking a dirt path. It's a beautiful yet kind of jarring divide, right? And it conceptually begs the question, as we build these incredibly ambitious, highly engineered societies of tomorrow, are we actually elevating humanity? Or are we simply separating ourselves from the grounded, natural world below?
You know, that exact tension was perfectly captured all the way back in 1969 by the American singer-songwriter Don McLean. Long before he wrote American Pie, he penned a debut single that featured this exact lyric, "I'm tired of castles in the air." It sets up the central theme of our explainer today perfectly. We really have to ask ourselves, do our most ambitious, highly curated utopian visions actually isolate us behind new walls rather than unite us?
Part 1. The Edge City Vision. Let's explore a very real, very modern tech movement happening across the globe right now.
So what exactly is Edge City? Well, at its core, it's a pop-up village. Imagine a society incubator. It's a real-life laboratory where brilliant people, founders, scientists, engineers, artists, come together to live and experiment for 1 to 2 months. Think of it almost like a summer camp, but, for solving the world's most complex scientific problems. Their stated and really noble goal is to accelerate human flourishing. They're tackling massive issues through multidisciplinary collaboration, literally blending AI, biotech, longevity research, and novel governance structures into a single, high-density community.
And this brilliantly illustrates how this isn't just some fleeting idea. The movement is evolving so rapidly. It started with the Zuzulu experiment in Montenegro in 2023, which was spearheaded by Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin. Then it graduated into the broader Edge City network, running month-long pop-up villages like Edge Esmeralda in Northern California in 2024, heading to the mountains of Patagonia in 2025, and aiming for India in 2026. What started as a temporary experiment is, well, it's quickly forming a global, interconnected network of permanent nodes.
The mechanics behind all this are built on this fascinating concept called the micro-exit. The logic here is that our current institutions are just way too rigid and slow to adapt to new technologies. So step 1, elite builders temporarily step away or exit to these pop-up villages. Step 2, they incubate new systems in a high-trust, fast-paced environment, basically beating the cold start problem for novel ideas. And finally, step 3, they merge those improvements right back into mainline society. It's an incredibly optimistic, proactive approach to building a brighter future.
Part 2. A troubadour's warning.
We're going to leave the world of AI and crypto for just a minute to travel back to a very different era. The year is 1969. Don McLean is a young, solitary folk performer navigating the club circuit in New York. This was a time of massive social upheaval, and McLean was feeling a profound sense of alienation from the rigid social hierarchies and the industrial urban technocracy all around him. He actually served as the Hudson River troubadour, traveling around singing about environmental degradation. And out of all this friction, he wrote his debut single, Castles in the Air.
In the song, McLean draws a really sharp contrast. On one side, he critiques what he calls the cocktail generation, where partners waltz devoid of romance. To him, this represented a performative, entirely status-driven networking culture. Against this, he places the hills of Forest Green. This was his deep yearning for an organic, grounded community life heavily inspired by the physical landscapes of the Hudson Valley. He was completely rejecting the curated, artificial spaces of the elite in favor of authentic nature.
Which brings us to this incredibly powerful lyric. McLean viewed these metaphorical castles, these towering, ambitious constructs of modern society, not as beautiful dreams to attain, but as isolating barriers that desperately needed to be escaped. The urban castle, with all its networking and performative belonging, was ultimately a source of profound despair for him. It was keeping people disconnected from true human flourishing.
Part 3. The Edge City Paradox. So, what happens when the high-tech pop-up village meets the 1969 folk warning face-to-face?
Now, what's really interesting about this physical split is how it maps out the paradox perfectly. On one side, we have the glowing neon world of the AI metropolis, representing the edge city vision of scaling, networking, and disrupting reality. It's members-only, highly curated, and frankly, dazzling. But on the other side, we have the pastoral landscape, the traditional farmhouse, the hills of forest green, representing roots, family, and life over image. It's a stark physical divide between two competing versions of what it actually means to build an ideal life. Think about those castle walls for a second, a society built on status, ambition, and performance. McLean warns this ultimately just leads to despair. But if you look at the hills of forest green, the focus shifts entirely to roots, community, nature, and authenticity, choosing life over image. So the question we have to ask of these new pop-up societies is this: are they truly escaping old, rigid hierarchies to build something better for everyone, or are they just recreating exclusive castle walls with new, high-tech aesthetics? Are they a true micro-exit, or just, a new VIP lounge?
It all really comes down to this core philosophical tension, a beautiful, abstract vision without roots versus prioritizing roots over status. Now, Edge City explicitly designs for health, multidisciplinarity, and family-friendly environments. They absolutely want to be rooted. But as an incubator of elite talent operating completely outside the norm, the risk of becoming a vision without roots, a floating castle entirely disconnected from the messy, everyday reality of ordinary human flourishing, well, that risk is always present.
Part 4. Some dreams belong.
As we reflect on what this all means for us today, it's absolutely crucial to remember that despite the contrast, there is a shared human desire here to build a better world. Don McLean himself was an anti-dream. In that very same song he sings, "I've got a dream I want the world to share." The warning here isn't to stop innovating. It's not telling us to stop gathering brilliant minds to solve hard problems. It's a reminder to ensure that our dreams, our new societies, and our technological leaps remain rooted in what truly makes life worth living.
And that brings us to the core question of this entire explainer, one that applies whether you are coding a new governance protocol in a pop-up village or just trying to build a good life in your own hometown. It's about deeply evaluating the ultimate destination of our grandest ambitions.
The most enduring innovations won't just be the ones that build shiny new infrastructure up in the clouds. They will be the ones that figure out how to remain grounded in our shared humanity. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope this leaves you looking at both our high-tech future and our pastoral roots in a whole new light. And as you watch the future of these pop-up cities unfold, I want to leave you with one final question to consider. Does our dream of tomorrow lead us back to life, or does it just build a new castle that keeps us away from it? Some dreams build, some dreams belong.